dealer price, invoice, list price. Go to TrueCar, new or used car. TrueCar.com, save $3,000 off MSRP. Yeah, it is interesting that Tom Brady, Boston radio guy. Listen, sometimes you get these like edgy shows. Yeah, it's funny. I get commissioners on my shows. Most commissioners aren't going to go on local radio because they don't trust the local radio guys. And, Boston radio, I mean, Christine knows this. It's edgy. It's yelling.
I used to work there at that same place.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Boston radio does. So, one of the low-end radio hosts at night says something stupid.
Well, no. I think it was Kirk Minahan who's...
no, he didn't say it. No.
Oh, no, you're right. Kirk Minahan apologized for the guy who did it.
Yeah, so I don't know any of these guys. So, I've heard of them. They've asked me to go on that show multiple times. I'm like, pass, hard pass. It's nothing against them. It's not that they're not talented, but this is what radio stations do. It's what Deadspin did. It's what Barstool. They want to get the young kind of frat boy, demo. There's nothing wrong with that. It works. I mean, this WEEI radio, they'll get huge ratings this week. Don't kid yourself. They'll get their biggest ratings ever off this controversy. But this was always an uneven relationship between this iconic high-end kale pajama brand and fistfights in the gutter, AM radio in Boston, which is, stunts and, edgy, and that's their thing. And I'm not opposed to it. I'm not going on that show, but I'm not opposed to that. But, I mean, Brady kind of let the world in with his family. He rolls the dice, and inevitably, this is why a lot of people don't let people in. They say stupid things about your kids and your wife. And, but I think Peter King made a great point, is when you're Tom Brady, this is like a home movie. And you can go back and show your kids, and this was Dad, and it's like a photo album. It's an archive of your life in the peak years. And I absolutely get it. Tom is segueing from NFL player. Do we have that? I think it's my favorite bite in this Tom Brady documentary, and it just shows you his obsession. This is what Jay Glazer always tells me. He's like, the great ones, they're all obsessed. Here's Brady talking about watching film now.
I like to be able to, reference back to seasons or games or weeks that I've gone through something similar. So there's at least a starting point. When you've been doing something so long, you just don't see like tape. You see the depth of everything. How do you know when the guy's going to blitz? You kind of look at the shape of the defense. A guy just may have a little tell, like a poker player. It's like, oh, how do you know? Well, I don't know, you've been doing it for so long, you've seen so much. I watch tape all day Monday, all day Tuesday. Wednesday we practice, Thursday we practice, Friday we practice, and I come home and I watch film. And Saturday before the game I watch film. And then Sunday morning I watch film. And the whole time I'm just trying to get tells. I don't know why I can sit here and watch it and, process information quickly, but I can. I mean, I could literally, just watch film all day. It's almost like soothing, because I've been doing it for so long. I can just go 4 or 5 hours without getting up from this chair.
God, I know exactly what he's talking about.
I believe that, actually.
I think, I know a lot of people will hear that and go, that is so weird. And I'm like, God, I just love that. Every single person I've ever met that's great is just an obsessed person, and that's Tom Brady's obsession. He's totally all in on it. It's funny. I get into these conversations with my wife all the time, and I'm like, this kid is distracted, and this kid, he doesn't play well with others, and I'm like, every kid I've ever met who became a really successful adult is odd. That's why they don't end up like everybody else, because they're not like everybody else. And it's like, the odd loner, crazy kid that everybody, is like, ooh, he should be on medication. And, he doesn't talk to other kids. And it's like, no, some kids find their passion early. They dig a mile deep into it. And there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. And Tom Brady doesn't mind being alone. I don't see him as a lonely guy in that film room. He's alone. I don't see him as lonely. And I just love his obsession. I think it's fascinating. Christine with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Well, we already knew this, but it's becoming even closer to official because it can't be official quite yet. But according to reports, after Friday's second interview with Josh McDaniels, the Colts do intend to hire him after the Super Bowl. So we know, but it's more official now because they had a second interview.
Yeah, this is the best job on the market because you have Andrew Luck. I mean, for all those who doubt Andrew Luck, Christine, everybody's always like, Colin, you like Andrew Luck. There's 7 job openings. McDaniels is the best candidate. Which job does he take? By the way, I could argue of all the job openings, this is the worst roster.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can make an argument Of the owners right now in the jobs, this is the worst owner, and it's the worst roster. Why would Josh McDaniels take this team? One person, Andrew Luck.
That, and, I mean, you can only go up from there, right?
Yeah, plus, I think the GM, Chris Ballard, is people in the game know he can play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When the Cavs had their team meeting, it came out later that reportedly Isaiah Thomas called it because they wanted to question whether Kevin Love was really sick or not.
Oh, so Isaiah called the meeting.
Well, that's what the reports were,
okay.
that Isaiah was the one who wanted to call Kevin Love out for not really being sick.
Okay.
And then on Twitter, remember, I told you they made up, or it appeared that they made up and that they were friends and everything was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so Isaiah Thomas was asked about all of this and why did he call out Kevin Love's health? And here is the answer.
To be real, I didn't call him out. I asked him, why wasn't he at the game during the game supporting his teammate? And then after the game, I asked him I didn't ask him because he wasn't there, so I was seeing where he was. So I didn't call him out any. So those reports, that whoever's saying that, there's no bad blood between me and Kevin Love. We go back to 5th and 6th grade. I approached him about a situation, and it went out of house like it shouldn't have been, but it was nothing bigger than what the world was trying to make it, like some type of beef between me and him.
That doesn't sound very good to me. The fact that he even admitted to saying, I asked him why he wasn't there supporting his teammates. You know how many guys, which, by the way, I don't condone it, but don't go to games when they're injured because they're not playing? I think you should still be there supporting your teammates.
I'm still shocked that the meeting got out. It's just remarkable to me.
Why?
I
they
could
wanted
hold
the meeting to get out.
The idea that I would have a private conversation with a coworker and it would be published in 3 different media outlets the next day, that to me, it's like I always say about the White House. Mm-hmm. The best thing I always said about Barack Obama's White House, 8 years, no leaks. Like, I don't know if their policies were all right.
Well, you know what that says to you?
It's a good White House.
Right.
Like, what concerns me about Cleveland's not what said, it's that it was said. They're leaking.
There are problems.
By the way, the Celtics, I'm sure they've had a disagreement in practice. I don't hear anything.
No,
Spurs,
because they're a tight-knit group
yes.
and they all respect one another. But I think there are people that are having problems with how the Cavs are run. And so things are starting to get out. And honestly, if I'm Kevin Love, I'm getting mad too. I don't want all this stuff out there. And when Ty Lue is saying publicly that everyone needs to put their egos aside, and then you have LeBron James throwing himself an early birthday party for 30,000 points.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's not being one with the team. Oklahoma City beat Philly 122-112 last night. And
I saw some of that.
You know, these are 2 of my favorite guys. So I really hate when my favorite guys are going at each other.
Yeah.
But Joel Embiid dunked on Russell Westbrook.
Right.
It was pretty bad. And then watch towards the end of the game, when the clock's running out, Westbrook laser eyes Joel Embiid on the bench. It's pretty intense. Is it there? Yep. There it is. There it is. He's looking at him. So afterwards, of course, Embiid got the last laugh and the thing he's best at, which is Twitter. So he posted this tweet, which is a shot of his dunk on Westbrook, and it said tough loss. And just check out where his location is. Crime scene investigation. So he got the best of Westbrook. I just hate that they're going at each other, but I hope it's all in good fun.
It was a wildly entertaining game, and it actually feels like Oklahoma. I predicted they'd win 55 games, and then I said I'm wrong. If you watch Oklahoma City, they're kind of starting to get it. Like Melo understands his role a little bit. He stepped back, and Westbrook's kind of just doing what Westbrook does.
Yes.
That was a wildly entertaining game, and Westbrook's doing what he does. And I think they're a flawed team. They don't have any three-point shooters, but they're going to win a bunch of games because they're just too dang talented.
And there's reports out today that Detroit is making Avery Bradley available for a trade, and that Oklahoma City is interested, which is very interesting. Would make them really good.
Christine, the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Matt Barnes was on that championship Warrior team last year. He's played for several NBA teams, the veteran Kings, 76ers, Suns, Magic, Lakers. Let's bring on Matt Barnes. By the way, I made the argument that when a player, I always support players when they get traded because I think it's a brutal life. If somebody came up to me and said, Colin, your family has to move to Sacramento, Matt, it would disrupt my whole life, my kids. So I have always defended players that I totally get when players are bothered by trade rumors. Isaiah Thomas is in Sacramento. They get rid of him. He goes to Phoenix. They get rid of him. He finally goes to a stable organization, Boston. They hug him, and he flourishes. Now he goes to semi-dysfunctional Cleveland. He struggles again. Could I make the argument that the 5'8" guy with a chip on his shoulder, he just wants to be loved, man, and Boston's the only team that put their arms around him, that maybe Cleveland's, Matt, is just too damn dysfunctional for Isaiah Thomas?
I think, I don't know if I'd call it dysfunctional. I just think that Isaiah made the mistake of doing too much talking before he got a chance to get on the court. Okay. You know, I think obviously he did what he did in Boston. He was amazing, you know, MVP candidate, averaged a bunch of points, but to come into Cleveland, which is LeBron's team, saying I'm going to average 30, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, when you're not healthy, one, but then you haven't really got a chance to gel and earn that chemistry with your teammates, you know. So I think if he would have just took a step back and came and found his place and stood out by blending in instead of standing out by talking, that it wouldn't be such a big deal right now. Now,
the trade deadline's only a couple of weeks away, Matt. Do you think Cleveland makes a big deal?
I think they do. I think something's going to happen. You know, LeBron is a master over there of getting things done and getting what he wants. My only question to that is, all these teams are building great teams on paper. Houston, Oklahoma City now is hot. Cleveland. What sets the Warriors apart is their chemistry. They have an amazing team on paper, but their chemistry is second to none. So guys really put their egos aside when they come in to that organization. It's all about winning. Any given night, someone can go off. You're not going to catch, you know, all three superstars off on the same night. It's just different over there. So you can have an amazing team on paper, but chemistry is what matters, and you see that on the court with the Warriors.
It's funny, Matt. Before I met you, I was like, Matt Barnes, a tough guy. And then I meet you, and I'm always like, he's so thoughtful. And, like, you get, like, what you're saying is what I wish more players understood. So you moved at the end of your career to the Golden State situation. And take my audience, Matt, into kind of the psychology, to travel with them. These are rock stars. This is like traveling with you, too. Right. Beyonce and Jay-Z. I mean, you're talking Steph and KD, and Draymond's a star. And Steve Kerr, hell, he's a star.
Right.
What is it like to travel with them and be around them?
I think it's amazing because you get that many stars in one area. Usually there's egos or problems or arguing, but there's none. You know, when I really say there's none, there's none. There's no – they're not trying to outshine each other. The ultimate goal is to win rings. They know they have a special unit, and if they play together and stay healthy, they can win rings until they don't want to win them no more. So I think that's the ultimate goal there. So a lot comes with that, and there's a lot of stars and confetti and partying and rock star-ish atmosphere, but these guys are very down to earth. They're family men. They're friends on and off the court, and I think that chemistry that they built off the court carries on the court, and it puts them – you know, head and shoulders above other teams.
I had a journalist friend text me Thursday, and Christine last week had a very reliable source on the show say she had heard LeBron is interested in Houston, certainly considering Houston, to which I consider to be very valid. Daryl Morey, Chris Paul. I think LeBron likes the idea of playing with guys who can, you know, veterans, smart, high. I had a source this weekend tell me, listen, L.A. is not off the table with LeBron. And, you know, whichever one is right, what is your feeling as a player? Like when players text you, what are they saying about LeBron's future?
I personally think that the Houston play would be a play to try to win another championship. But I think ideally to ride off in the sunset, to get ready for the next journey in his career, which he's expressed he wants to be an owner. There's no better tutelage than Magic Johnson. There's no better city to do it than in L.A. I heard he has multiple houses out here, and I think it would be a great situation to get him around Kuzma and Zoe and some of their younger guys to really teach them how to win and teach them how to be pros along with all the amazing young talent they have. So I think the sun is set as far as him thinking him being able to beat the Warriors. I mean, I really don't even think Cleveland wins that first title unless Draymond is, if Draymond doesn't get kicked out of the game.
Right.
I think that, the Warriors would be going for 3 in a row. So I think this is their last run. I still believe that they're the strongest team in the East. I love Boston, but they're young and they haven't been there yet.
Jason Tatum, 28 minutes.
Love him.
I love him too, but he's a kid.
Yeah, exactly. love him, love their talent. But I think once LeBron leaves or once LeBron's done in the East, it's Cleveland's time. But it's still hard for me to bet against him. But I think LeBron to L.A. would be an amazing finish to an amazing career.
By the way, LeVar Ball called out Steve Kerr, saying anybody can coach, after Kerr called LeVar the Kardashian of the NBA. Can I play the tape here? Here's LeVar's sound.
I'm just saying, Steve Kerr said I'm the Kardashian. I'm calling him the Milli Vanilli. You know how they did the fake singing, he doing the fake coaching. Because that team was already put together by MJ. And not Michael Jackson, Mark Jackson.
So you're trying to tell us you don't think Steve Kerr's done a good job coaching that team?
He's done a good job of coaching, and you got all the best players. Give me the best players I coach. Give me Steph Curry, KD, Draymond. Shoot, you can coach that team. Don't act like they're doing something.
Well, but they didn't win before he got there.
Need to pay attention to what's going on with their team and quit worrying about what I'm saying and pay attention to what's going on with them. On the fact that their team is losing and they're worried about what somebody else saying. Pay attention to your team. Tell Dick Carlisle to stop watching stupid things and get in the room and teach his players how to play. He got to develop some young players.
What do you make of that? What do you make of that, Matt Barnes?
I think he says stuff for a reaction. 10 out of 10 times, everything he says is out of reaction. And one thing about coaching is, obviously, Coach Kerr has an amazing roster, and that's no secret, but players got to respect you. You know, first and foremost, they wouldn't respect LeVar.
Well, of course not.
But, yeah, they definitely respect Coach Kerr. And I think the secret with him is he's been a player. He's been there. He's done that. And he's similar to Phil Jackson and Pop from the standpoint that if he puts you out there or you're in the rotation, he trusts you. So he really doesn't have to do too much yelling or
he does. He yells at officials.
He does, you know, and he'll yell sometimes. You know, he'll break a clipboard and his little face will get all red and he'll get, you know, he'll get upset. But for the most part, he trusts you out there. So you may sit back and like, oh, he's just sitting there. But that's because he has the ultimate trust in his players and the players have the trust in him. So sometimes the sign of a great coach is just if you have something that's amazing, just get out of the way. You know what I mean? Add your points where you see needed. But for the most part, with Draymond, who's a coach on and off the floor, Steph, high IQ, KD, high IQ, Clay, the list goes on, Andre Iguodala, David West. I mean, there's not really too much you have to tell these guys. You know, so I think Steve Kerr's secret is, hey, you know, implement my system, what I want, what I don't want, and then just sit back and watch this amazing machine go to work.
Best dressed guest we've ever had on the show, Matt Barnes.
Wow.
Thank you.
You look
Look
good.
at the shoes.
You really
the shoes are my favorite.
Yeah, I don't really dress up too much, but when I do, I can do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're bringing it today. This is like Grammy's carpet. Oh, good Lord, you are all dressed up.
And my ankles are even lotioned, too. You can't really see them, but I got my ankles shown. But some people make the mistake of not lotioning their ankles and have them out.
Huge mistake.
Huge.
I've been saying that, Matt, for years.
Wow.
That
He doesn't
lotion-
wear socks with his shoes
Yeah,
either.
yeah, she asked me about that, and we were getting our makeup this morning, and my feet don't really sweat.
Did you know, a fun fact I learned, Colin, I don't know if you know this either, that basketball players wear 3 pairs of socks in their shoes? For a
Some.
game?
I mean, some guys wear 1, some guys wear 2, but I've been 2 or 3, you know, from the jump, just because I want my shoes as tight as possible. I want my ankles taped tight because you know, there's just, you don't really want to go down with a severe sprained ankle. So to me, I just needed my shoes as tight as possible.
You got game all over the place. Matt Barnes, back in a second. The Herd.